If your makeup artist canceled on you on your wedding day, would you expect your deposit back? This whole experience has honestly been shitty, but I'm just like so confused because she is making me feel like I am just such an asshole. Like, am I being the asshole? So I booked this girl on January 19th, and everybody else that I looked at, they charged $250, but this girl charged $300, and I assumed that was because she was better. She also had like 40K followers on Instagram, which honestly, in my delusional mind, I'm like, that makes her better. I don't know. I feel like, honestly, it's probably best she didn't do my makeup at this point. But so when I booked with her, right away, I kind of got like a bad feeling. Like, she was giving me like one-word answers on Instagram. And then when I let her know like, oh, I booked, and like, I don't know, I said something about like photos and whatever, she just didn't even respond to me. Didn't reassure me. And honestly, it made me nervous going into my wedding day. And I was telling everybody, I'm like, I'm pretty scared for my makeup, but I've already paid the deposit, so we're locked in. It is now the day before the wedding, and I think it was like 1:30. I texted her just giving her like my hotel room information, like how to get to me. And she responded like 2 hours later, basically saying, hey girl, I just want to give you a heads up. I am sick and I may have to cancel tomorrow. Instant freak out. I'm like, what? Oh my God. But if you're sick, like there's nothing you can do. So I was just like, we're going with the flow at this point. And she was like, if anything, I'll get you a replacement. So I assume she's like lining up a replacement in case she's sick. Finally, the next day, my appointment was supposed to be at 12:30. She texts me at 10 a.m. saying, I'm so sorry, I'm sick, I can't come. And I'm like instantly freaking out. Like, you're supposed to be here in 2.5 hours. Like, what the fuck is going on? But again, like, it's not her fault. She's sick. What can you do? So she says she's gonna find a replacement, asks what time, like, latest she can come, like, all this shit. And then she finally, I think at noon was when she, you know what? Let me check the text. Yes, at noon, she finally gets back to me and says that this girl is able to come. She found me a replacement. She's coming at 1:30, which is the same time my hair was starting. So whatever, we'll do hair, we'll do makeup, we'll bang it out, we'll be fine. And honestly, this girl was amazing. She was so nice, so sweet. I think she arrived at like 1:15. And my original makeup artist told me that I'll just pay the new makeup artist her full fee, which was $250. And I was like, okay, no problem. Obviously, this was my wedding day, so I didn't really want to deal with this deposit issue right away. So I waited a couple days, and then I messaged her and was just like, hey, just wondering when I'm going to get my $50 deposit back. And instantly she was kind of like, what are you talking about? Why would you get it back? Because when you go to her website, it says the $50 is non-refundable. But when you read her cancellation policy, it literally says, if she cancels, she will find you a replacement and you will get the deposit back. Like, I even sent her her cancellation policy and outlined it for her, and she did not care. And she was getting really upset with me. She was like fighting me on it. She started talking about her company, and she's like, I don't know, you don't understand what agency is. I'm like, girl, what the hell are you talking about? You're one girl. Your website doesn't mention shit about you being a company. I don't know. And she's talking about all these makeup artists she has under her and all these people. Like, I'm like, girl, what are you talking about? Honestly, I don't know. It felt like she was just trying to make me feel stupid. But in the end, she ended up like full caps yelling at me and saying, here's your stupid money, and said that she was going to refund me. And I was just like, okay, thanks. And like, I don't know, she still kind of went off a little bit. And I was just like, I don't know, man, just like change your cancellation policy if that's the case. And so we left it with her saying she's going to refund me. It's now been 5 days and she has not refunded me. So I now am disputing it with my bank because she didn't perform the services and she said she was going to refund me. Not to mention her cancellation policy says she's going to refund me. So I don't know. Am I the asshole? Like, should I just let her keep my $50 for finding me a replacement who I outright paid their full fee for? Like, I don't know. I'm just like really confused in this situation. I'm feeling bad and I don't know if I really should be feeling bad.
I'm really curious if this has happened to anybody else, but I'm fully convinced that my old apartment had cameras installed in it by my landlord, and he used to use that info to like fuck with us. I really need you to watch this entire video because I need to know that I'm not crazy. And if you feel like you've wasted your time, drop your electronic payment, whatever that might be, and I'll send you $1. All right, so this is about 15 years ago. I found this 2-bedroom apartment for a really good deal on Craigslist. So I reached out to the guy and I was like, hey, would love to come and see this place. He was like, I don't meet my tenants in person, but I'm going to leave the place unlocked to go take a look at it. I was like, sure, kind of weird. So I go and look at it and I was like, hey, awesome place. Would love to meet you and seal the deal. And he was like, I'm just going to leave the keys there. It's yours. We'll figure out payment and stuff. Go ahead and move in. He's like, my mom owns the place. Remember this. He's like, my mom owns the place, but I'm going to be take care of all the business stuff. We move in. Both my roommate and I at the time, independent of each other, every time we were home alone, the place had that fucking undeniable feeling that we were being watched. You know, that instinctual feeling you feel in the pit of your stomach? We felt it every single time. And after weeks of being there together, we shared with each other, hey, we have this feeling. And we were like, oh my gosh, I have that feeling too. That's so crazy. And after we voiced this, then the weird shit started happening. He did the smallest, craziest things to make us feel like we were insane. And the first thing that he did was, we had these key rings that we used to set our keys on every single day without fail. In the middle of the night, somebody broke into our place or let themselves in and took my house key off of my key ring and set my key rings back there. So the next day when I went to work and I came back home, I didn't have my key. I called my roommate. She's like, I didn't take your fucking key. Why would I do that? I was like, I don't know. Why the fuck would you do that? And I was like, it wasn't me. She's like, it wasn't me. We got into an argument, whatever. I break into the place and find my house key neatly sat on my bedside table. And I called my roommate and I was like, this happened. She was like, this is fucking weird. This one he did was really fucked up. So my roommate was dating this guy. And she had him over. And they were dating for a while, but he never opened up about his dad who had passed away. And on some random night, he decided to open up about his dad had passed away. He finally said his name for the first time, and let's call him Frank Grimes. So he's talking about Frank Grimes and how, like, it was really sad when he passed, and they had, like, a really tender moment. They really bonded. He left, and she actually left to go visit her mom. And she goes and she's visiting her mom, and she randomly checks her MySpace page. And if you remember MySpace at the time, on the bio, at the very last thing, it said things like, oh, you know, like, what are your hobbies? And the very last thing was like who you would like to meet. And who she had originally put was like Paul McCartney and Marilyn Monroe and whomever. And when she checked on that very same night, she had saw that it said all the people that she had said, and the very last name it said was Frank Grimes, which was the name of her boyfriend's father who had passed away, who she had just learned of that night. So she called me freaked out, crying, being like, did you do this? Did you do this? And she was like freaking out. I was like, no, I don't even know what you're talking about. How can I get into your MySpace account? How could I even know this name? And she's like, I don't know. I'm like freaking out. She was crying. Stay with me. So this one is also really fucking creepy. I had the same schedule every single day. I used to go to class from like 6 a.m. to like 11 a.m. And then I used to go to work from like 11:30 a.m. till about 5 p.m. every single day, Monday through Friday. But I was on spring break, and so my schedule was different. And I didn't park close to my place because I got home late. So it looked like nobody was home. So I'm in my apartment getting ready to go to work because I didn't have school, but it looked like my car was gone. And I'm in the shower, and I'm getting out of the shower, drying off, whatever, singing Kelly Clarkson, what the fuck I'm doing. And all of a sudden, I hear my front door open, and my roommate is out of town. I hear my front door open and shut, and I hear steps coming up the stairs of my apartment. And I'm frozen because I know my roommate is for sure gone. And I hear steps outside of the bathroom. I'm butt-ass naked. And I'm like, hello? And steps stop in front of my bathroom door. And they stop, and they're silent. And I was like, who the fuck is in my apartment? And the voice says, I'm here to fix the light. And I was like, there's no light that needs to be fixed. Get the fuck out of my apartment. And I'm fucking like shaking with like fright and adrenaline. And then he's like, oh, sorry. And I hear him scatter away and open the front door and leave immediately. I call my room and I was like, what the fuck just happened? And she's like, oh my God, you need to get out of the apartment. And then I get another call and I don't recognize the number. And I was like, I'm getting another call. I'm going to answer it. So I answer it and it is the landlord. And he was like, hey, I'm so sorry. I heard that someone went into the apartment. And I was like, yeah, what was that about? And he's like, sorry, your another apartment needed a light fixed, and I'm so sorry. He went into the wrong apartment. And I was like, okay, no big deal. And he's like, I'm so sorry about that. Okay, I hung up. And I was thinking about it, and I was like, so not only did he say the wrong apartment, but he also gave him the keys to the wrong apartment. And that didn't sit well with me. So I asked all the other tenants, I said, did you guys need a light fixed? And every single one of them said no. No one needed a light fixed. So I told my roommate, I was like, I've like had fucking enough. Like they were in there repairing something else. And in my heart, I was like, they're in there to fix the cameras because something happened where they didn't know I was home and they needed to fix the fucking cameras. So we both decided we're going to move out. She calls the landlord. She's like, hey, we're going to be moving out. He was like, oh, are you sure? Like you guys were such great tenants. And she's like, yeah, we're sure. And he was like, what about Chris? Does he want to stay? And she was like, well, he can't really afford a 2-bedroom apartment by himself, so he's going to move out. And he's like, well, what if I drop the rent so that he can afford it? And she was like, I don't think he's going to want to stay. Because why the fuck would he do that? This is the creepy conclusion. Years later, I'm talking about this with a group of friends. And I'm talking about all these stories, and they're getting really creeped out. And someone in the group is like, tell me the address, because I need to get to the bottom of this. And I was like, sure. So I tell them the address. And they look up the address, and they find out the guy's name. They find out the mother's name. And they also find out that the guy worked in surveillance. He worked in security and he worked in surveillance. Not only that, but my friend also found out that the mom who had owned the building had died back in the 90s. So he was pretending that his mom was alive and was the true owner of the building this entire time.
Here is a traumatic story time of what happened in a hotel that I went to in Birmingham. So this was a random day in January. I just finished a very, very long day of doing meet and greets. This meet and greet included meeting so many different people. So you can just imagine, like, you're tired, you've been talking all day, you just want to sleep. And if you've ever done something where it's like a full day of conventions, you'd know exactly what I mean. So with this meet and greet, the company that had organised it for me actually ended up putting me up for the night at a stay place in Birmingham. So I was like, oh, amazing, like I've got a hotel for the evening. And then the next day I was actually going to go to Manchester early morning to go to Pretty Little Thing. Well, this was never the case. Once we entered the hotel, it was about 8 o'clock and I just wanted to get in bed and eat Dominoes and fall asleep. I was actually with my sister and my boyfriend at the time, and we was all just chilling in the lobby waiting for my mum. And then I said, let's just check in now, like let's not wait for mum, she can just come into the room then. So we go to check in, and from the get-go I can just tell this man is being really, really funny with me and my sister, because we was quite, like, I mean, she's not even young, but I don't know, I was young and so was my boyfriend, so maybe they just thought we was all young. I could literally tell that he was just going to be awkward from the get-go. He proceeded to tell me that I couldn't be under the age of 16 to be in the hotel, and I said, but on here, like, kids are allowed. So he basically was just trying to be difficult. Like, you could be under the age of 16. I pulled out the proof, and then he kind of just kept quiet about that one. And then he proceeded to say things like, oh, you can't check in without an adult. My sister was like, I am an adult. And he was like, I need proof. She'd show proof and he'd be like, You know when someone's just being so difficult, like, all you got to do is check me in, mate, and I'll be out your way. So it comes to checking in, and we've said the name, and I've showed the confirmation booking on my phone. And then he starts saying, okay, have you got the card that you paid for? Like, what you paid with the hotel, like when you paid for the booking, have you got that card with you? And I said, no, it was a company that paid for me, so he's in like another country right now, but he's just told me to come here and I can get in. Basically, this man argued with us for 20 minutes and us we couldn't go in the room because we had to have the visualised card, when on the website it never said that. So at this point, we just saw like, what is going on? But anyways, we ended up persuading him to just let us in the room. We was like, look, we're really tired, and it was never this on the website, like we was proving things to him, so he couldn't really argue with us. My boyfriend at the time actually had a separate room, but he wasn't going to check in there until later on, so it was just me, my sister and him in the room. And whilst we were sitting in there, I went to the toilet to wash my face because I was just like, makeup off, want to sleep. And he's lifted up the bed and gone, oh my god. I was like, what has happened? There was hair in our bed, but not just like one, there was like gazillions of hairs in our bed. Then we called the hotel and was like, you need to come up here and like change the bedding or something. But at this point, we're like, we don't want to stay. So yeah, my boyfriend at the time lifted this bed up and screamed. And me and my sister was like, you're lying. You're actually lying. And then we had to call for the man to come up to inspect. And annoyingly, it was the man that was being so rude to us at reception. So we're proving to him, like, look, there is literal hair in our bed. And he proceeded to tell us we was lying, but he could visibly see that there was hair in our bed. Like, we was not making this up. Like, also, why would we make up after all that hassle? Why would we then just try to start more drama? He proceeded to tell my sister to her face, you're lying to me. And at this point, me and my sister are literally livid. Like, how are you telling us we're lying when there's proof? My mum's still driving about Birmingham trying to find a blooming car park. So this is just me and my sister versus this man, like absolute blooming weirdos. At this point, he was saying, well, you're not getting a refund for your room and you're just going to have to stay there because there's no other rooms available. And we was like, there is no way we are staying in a room where someone's clearly been sleeping in there and left all their hairs everywhere. It was disgusting. Like, I mean disgusting. If there was one, I reckon we would have just been like, oh, that's disgusting, and just proceeded to just get on with it. But it was the fact there was like a gazillion different ones in there. It was just like, and they was, I've got so many pictures, but I can't put that on TikTok. At this point, I literally called my mum up and was like, Mum, we're not staying here. And she was like, what about the company that have paid? I said, we'll give them the money. Like, there is no way I'm staying in this hotel where there is genuinely hairs everywhere in our bed. I was like, I'm not staying here. Again, this man was refusing to give a refund. He was being so difficult, laughing in our face. It was the worst customer service I have ever experienced in my life. And I think he literally just found it pleasurable to make us upset and be like so angry because he thought it was funny. So literally what we done was get all our things together and say we won't be staying here this evening. I think then another woman came in and started talking to us. And once she spoke to us, she was like, look, we will give you a refund. That's not acceptable. So she clearly wasn't on her colleague's side whatsoever. But this is actually funny because we said to him, like, where's the manager? We want the manager. He was like, I am the manager. I was like, oh, convenience, that is. Of course we're with the manager, and he's acting like this. So it was just really, really dreadful. But his colleague, like, behind his back was like, don't worry, we'll get this sorted for you. And we ended up getting a refund for the company. And I ended up just calling up my favourite hotel in Manchester and saying, look, we're coming a day early. Can you get us in? And they got us in. So that was the Native Manchester. And genuinely, I can't say one bad thing about the hotel. If you're ever staying in Manchester and you need somewhere to stay, the Native Hotel is the one.
My brother-in-law is the reason why my husband left me. I don't know what to do now. Originally posted January 29th, 2024. I, female 38, met my brother-in-law, male 38, at uni. He asked me out in our first year and I refused. He called me the C word and that I am shallow. My best friend told me that they were harmless comments from a drunken guy who got rejected. I never thought myself shallow. It was his demeanor and awkwardness that was off-putting to me. Anyway, he proved my friend right, and other than these mean comments, I have never felt uncomfortable during my uni years because he never bothered me again. Not even looked my way. Next time I met him was when my baby sister, female 28, introduced him as her boyfriend. I didn't even recognize him at first because it was like 9 to 10 years since that day he talked to me. He was visibly annoyed that I didn't recognize him and called me a liar. The family was skeptical at first about him, but he seemed to treat my sister right and she seemed happy. He's very rich, taking her all over the world, and he seemed kind with her too. They got married after a year of dating. They now have 3 children. I met my now ex, male 40, 5 years ago, and the only odd comment from my brother-in-law was that I was still as shallow and superficial as I was in uni. At the time, I took it as a joke, but in hindsight, when I found out the truth and started thinking back, looking for red flags, he never showed any signs that he disliked my husband, or he was always decent enough about his indifference to have a close friendship with my husband, and I didn't seem odd because he was always a recluse. A year ago, my husband came home and accused me of cheating, and he had evidence. The guy contacted him and he had nudes, etc. of me on his phone. The guy told my husband that he didn't know at first that I was married, but as soon as he found out, he contacted my now ex. He even apologized to my husband. I'd never met this guy my entire life. Nothing I said or did made my husband believe me. He left me and our divorce is pending. Then yesterday, that guy contacted me. He apologized for what he did and told me that he is friends with my brother-in-law. He sent me conversations, endless conversations my brother-in-law had about me for 5 years. He's never forgotten that I, in his words, didn't even give him the chance and only judged him by his looks. He called me the C word in that chat too. Or both groups chats with his friends, but mostly with this guy. They planned this attack and my brother-in-law somehow got access to my photos. The reason this guy contacted me now is that he felt guilty because even when my marriage is over, my brother-in-law was still angry and hateful, especially when he heard that I was on a date last weekend. So the friend felt that he didn't help his friend, but ruined innocent people's lives. Not sure what to do. My brother-in-law has actually been happier and more sociable than usual since my divorce, and now I know why. Although first I thought he felt sorry for me and wanted to support me. His jokes about me ending up an old maid with cats as companions don't sound like jokes anymore. He meant them. I don't want to ruin my sister's life. She's very happy with her husband. I'm not sure either if I can with her husband. I'm not sure if I should tell my ex or not. I'm very heartbroken that he didn't believe me. I love him very much. He's the love of my life, but I'm not sure if I can forgive him for not believing me. But he is a victim in this too, so maybe he needs to know for closure. I'm so terribly sad and hurt. Update. January 30th, 2024. One day later. My soon-to-be ex-husband knows everything now. Apparently, the guy who contacted me contacted my ex-husband at the same time and confessed to him. Well, that makes it easy. My soon-to-be ex is coming to town this weekend and wants to talk. Afterwards, I will probably need to look into taking legal actions if that's possible and tell my family. I think now that exposing him is the best and more safe approach should anything more serious happen. At least people would be aware of who to blame. I want to at least make sure that my sister and her children are safe before I tell them everything, like meeting them at my parents' house after I tell my parents. The pictures were real and were probably stolen from my phone or my husband's, because he's the only one that I took those pictures for. Wouldn't he have recognized the photos then? I don't know if I can get any justice since the pictures were not of my face. At least I was smart enough to not have my face shown in nudes. I don't know what will happen. Relevant comments here. So you're telling me that this guy has kept himself around you for 20 years and is still hung up on you rejecting him? It sounds like he's preyed on your sister to get close to you and will keep trying to ruin your life if you let him get away with this. You need to tell your sister what he did, and the guy he used needs to tell your ex what he did. That already has been done. Not to stir any pots or get your ex back, but so everyone knows what a psycho this guy is. If he's still trying to get back at you after decades of you simply rejecting him, he's never going to stop, and he's never going to let you be happy. Original OP's reply. Yes, he's been following me throughout my uni years and even afterwards. He found my sister and managed to charm her. When they got married, I was single, and apparently he was telling his friends how he was glad I was old and single and miserable. Not my experience of my single life. Then, when I met my husband, he was angry because he didn't think I would find somebody at my age, 33. Now, when we are getting a divorce, he was very pleased again, saying I would definitely never find someone at 38, that I would regret turning him down. But I was on a date last weekend, so he spiraled down again and was angry and wrote horrible things about me, so his friend chose to come forward because he thought that my divorce wasn't enough for this guy. His words. Mini update, February 6th, 2024. So what about a week later? Yes, trigger warning, self-harm. Shit. I really don't have much to add. My sister is very angry. She said that I have ruined her husband's reputation because my ex has blasted him and his friend everywhere. Now he's talking about wanting to end his life because I ruined it because of a joke he played. My parents have told her everything the day everything was exposed, and apparently she believed them, me, at first, but now she's turned on me and she's refusing to listen. I wish I could have a moment with her first before hell broke loose. On the husband. Here's a comment. He is looking for jobs here because he wants to move back. I got very anxious and asked if he is doing this because of me. We are not together, and this wasn't the right time to pressure me, but he said he was doing it for himself, that he doesn't want anything from me, but that and he doesn't want to leave town for brother-in-law to think he has easy prey to harm. Okay, so he's coming back to protect her, sort of. I didn't ask about the one he was seeing. I felt it would be disrespectful to interrogate him since I have no right to do that. Maybe it is not serious, or maybe she is willing to move here. I don't know. So he's seeing somebody apparently. I haven't spoken to lawyers. They don't seem to think that this could lead to anything. Another comment here. Yes, and he said he couldn't just wait and let brother-in-law believe that I was alone and easy prey. He said that police wouldn't do anything. He was right about that, and people like my brother-in-law are better exposed to everyone because they value their image. He doesn't seem to be understanding of my sister, however, and the way she was put in the middle. He did apologize a lot, probably only because I was distraught and upset about what he did. I don't think he regrets anything. He's very sad himself and has been apologizing all the time about everything, including not believing me or trusting his gut that believed me. My brother-in-law hasn't bothered me again since he tried to call me to threaten me after everything blew up because my ex went to his place again and threatened beating him up again. Now my sister is even angrier. Husband's relationship from February 12th. Yeah, it's over. I don't think it was a serious relationship. I just heard rumors that he had a girlfriend but didn't know all the details, so maybe I thought it was more serious than it was. Now he's moving back, and I haven't heard that someone is moving with him, so I don't know. We talk on the phone every day, but I don't want to pry. So far, on any news on the brother-in-law, he has filed no contact orders again with my ex-husband, and me.
Am I I wrong for telling my boyfriend that I won't be donating part of my liver to him? My 31 male boyfriend in the past had a binge drinking problem before we met. By the time we met, he had been sober for years, but he had cirrhosis on his liver that doesn't look to be getting better and had some really bad lab results. He also has an embolism in his lung, so he has reduced lung function and diabetes. He went to a liver specialist who mentioned that my boyfriend might need a liver transplant in the future, and he came back pretty bummed about that, understandably. He then, not seriously, but kind of hopefully, let me know that I should donate part of my liver to him if we matched. I told him no, and I was kind of shocked he would ask. We've been dating 8 months, and while I like him, I'm not convinced he's the one yet. He has a lot of qualities I like, but some that drive me up the wall, including having poor personal hygiene and not looking after his diet and eating mostly fast food. He was surprised and then tried to cover it up, saying he didn't expect it and was just joking. I felt like he was serious but didn't want to seem that way and told him I would only think about doing something so personal for a parent, sibling, or spouse, and only if we were on good terms. Then he joked, saying he could just ask me to marry him to get my liver. And I told him, now that he's mentioned it, it would make any marriage proposal seem disingenuous, so I wouldn't get matched to see if I was a candidate beforehand. He got serious and told me that the liver isn't a big transplant and I would still be able to keep part of my liver. I told him it doesn't matter that the liver regenerates. I wouldn't even think about doing it for just a boyfriend. He got offended and said he would do it for me if the situation was reversed, and I said the problem is the situation isn't reversed, so I'm not convinced he would just because he's spouting platitudes. He got really angry and stormed out and hasn't been back in hours. So, am I the asshole for being overly honest with him that I wouldn't donate any liver for him?
There are two things that I generally avoid talking about on social media, and that is my political and religious belief. But let's be real, I'm getting more vulnerable on this app as the days go by. I never really grew up in a religious household. My dad's Jewish, my mom's Christian. We celebrate Hanukkah, we celebrate Christmas, but I've never really considered myself a very religious person. The reason why I say all of this is because I was shown yesterday that God really does exist. I got a text from my manager yesterday asking what my availability looks like on the dates of March 26th to March 28th. If you don't know, March 26th is what would be my 2-year wedding anniversary date, and this is a date that I have been absolutely dreading. I responded with, other than absolutely dreading the day of March 26th, nothing. Hopefully you have something that can distract me. Literally like getting emotional about it. He responded with, oh, don't you worry. I definitely have something that's going to take your mind off of it. I want to preface, this time last year, I had 3 goals for myself. I met 2 of those goals by the end of March, and I unfortunately did not meet my 3rd goal by the end of 2023. I simply recycled the goal and made it a goal in 2024. And that goal was to be invited on a brand trip. I was really disappointed that I didn't get invited on any brand trips last year, but I understood things take time, they take patience. You guys, I have been invited on my first freaking brand trip. She texted me, I literally was like, you're kidding. Like, you've got to be kidding, because not only have I met one of my major goals, ew, not me cry. Not only have I met another one of my major goals by the end of March, but this is also happening on a day that was gonna be like the worst day of the year. There's no coincidence. There's no coincidence. The first day of the brand trip is on March 26th. It's like God is trying to remind me that this day doesn't need to be tainted in my mind. Without a doubt, someone above is looking out for me, and they're trying to show me that I am much better off in life and that March 26th is only a day. I'm just so unbelievably grateful and honestly just in awe that this is my life. There are truly so many reasons why I feel so like overwhelmed with emotions about this. Back in April of last year, when I decided to leave my corporate job and pursue TikTok full time, I definitely didn't receive the amount of support that I had hoped to from my ex. Again, this happening on what would be my 2-year wedding anniversary date. It's such a look at me now moment. Don't get me wrong, it's not like before now I didn't believe in God, but I feel like sometimes you need something grave and large to happen in your life to just be a sign that someone is watching out for you at all times, especially those times when you need him the most. I didn't really mean for this to turn into a sappy video, but I really do just want to thank you guys so much. You have no idea how hard the last 8 months of my life have been, and the support and the community that I have with all of you on this platform is like, I don't have words, and I would not be given these opportunities if it weren't for you and your support.
Y'all, this shit was fucking crazy right now. So I was out here mobbing and shit. Well, all of a sudden I had a fucking Raven Baxter moment, bitch. I was like, I thought I was seeing the fucking future, bitch, but I actually was seeing the motherfucking past. Because all of a sudden I was driving by this area and I was like, hold the fuck up, I've been here before. And it came back to me, guys. I said, oh shit. Because I was like, where the fuck have I been before when I had a motherfucking like pull in with a motherfucker and park sideways? And I remember pulling in and telling him like, there's no parking here, baby. And he said, don't worry, baby, I'm making a parking. I said, oh shit. Because there was this one motherfucking time when I was leaving the club, right, all crazy and shit, halifated. On my soul, bitch. I was trying to make it to a motherfucking taco spot, Third Street Birria. And if you don't know what Third Street Birria is, bitch, I don't know what the fuck to tell you, hoes. Anyway, so while I was walking that night, right, this motherfucker done pulled up on me out the cuts. He knew I was faded. I think he thought I was selling ass. Next thing you know, motherfucking Mercedes is pulling up on me. I said, how the fuck is that a Mercedes? And y'all, it was a motherfucking Mercedes with the Benz. This motherfucker gonna shout for the car, yo, is you about to slob on my knob? I can't on a cop. I said, what the fuck? Stop playing with me, bitch. And I got in the motherfucking car and I started motherfucking playing, bitch. Shit was just all crazy for a real quick second, I was saying. And then the motherfucker done stole my motherfucking phone, kicked me out the motherfucking car. He didn't steal my phone, I left it on accident, right? And I still fucking headed to the motherfucking taco spot, bitch. And I didn't even know my motherfucking phone was gonna until I got to the motherfucking taco spot. And I seen somebody that I knew. I said, oh my God, bitch, my phone is missing. Mind you, I'm fucking faded, you guys. I'm fucking like, well, my type shit, right? So then she calls my motherfucking phone and they're like, the motherfucker answers the phone. He's like, hey, oh, where are you at? He's like, oh, I'm gonna go get some tacos on the east side. I gives a fuck, bitch. Give my motherfucking phone. Never gave my motherfucking phone and the shit pinged like fucking 6 months later in fucking Vegas. But yeah, that was crazy. I fucking solved the cold case because I never knew where the fuck I was that night because I was like, what the fuck? I swear I walked into heaven that night, you guys. I'm not kidding. I was about to shot myself. Well, all of a sudden I was like, oh my God, I need to go somewhere, I need to go somewhere. And then these fucking gates of heaven opened up, you guys. I walk inside, everything's white and shit. It's only 3 Middle Eastern men. I was like, are these my guardian angels? I swear, y'all, it was beautiful. It was like clouds. I was walking on clouds in that motherfucking place. It was all white. I think it was a hookah bar. Makes a little bit of sense.